Pause for a moment. Before you move on, let me pose a question that will reshape your entire perspective on existence. Do you believe that virtue shields you from harm? Do you assume that compassion earns you protection? That altruism creates devotion? That integrity commands admiration? If you nodded to even one of these, you're about to uncover the most perilous deception civilization has ever perpetuated. The greatest error humans commit is assuming that virtue equals safety. But here's the unforgiving reality. Virtue is like wildfire. It consumes everything you've constructed. Your connections, your livelihood, your aspirations, everything. Niccolò Machiavelli. Yes, Niccolò Machiavelli decoded this puzzle. He observed virtuous commanders collapse. He witnessed compassionate monarchs annihilated. He documented charitable individuals stabbed in the back by the very souls they elevated, and he preserved it all in writing. Today I'm revealing his concealed wisdom with you. The staggering price of virtue that society refuses to acknowledge. You know what's fascinating? Cats understand this instinctively. Watch a cat. It doesn't give affection to everyone who wants it. A cat is selective, strategic, calculated. When a cat shows you love, it's because the cat chose that moment. The cat doesn't exhaust itself trying to please everyone who walks through the door. The cat preserves its energy, maintains its boundaries, and somehow, people respect the cat more for it. We call them independent. We call them mysterious. We admire them. Meanwhile, the dog who gives love to everyone gets taken for granted. Think about that. In the upcoming moments you're going to discover why your virtue is actually rendering you powerless. Why individuals don't honor your compassion, they manipulate it, and most crucially, how to convert virtue from your most devastating vulnerability into your most formidable asset. But first, let me clarify something. I'm not instructing you to embrace malevolence. I'm not requesting you to inflict pain on others. What I'm demonstrating is how to be virtuous tactically, not recklessly. Because the truth is, in a reality populated with predators, being prey gets you devoured without mercy. Now I want you to post this declaration in the comments. I embrace tactical virtue. From this moment forward, everything transforms. You will no longer deploy virtue carelessly. You will deploy it strategically. In this presentation we'll expose why virtue doesn't always shield you. In reality, it frequently demolishes you. And we'll examine precisely how to transform it into a wellspring of genuine power. Let's begin with the first startling reality. Number 1. Virtue as vulnerability. Consider the most compassionate individual in your circle. Now, contemplate this. Are they genuinely honored, or are they the individual everyone contacts when they require assistance? The reality is, being virtuous makes you exposed, not protected. When you're perpetually compassionate, individuals begin perceiving you as foreseeable. They understand you won't retaliate. They understand you won't refuse. They understand they can dominate you because you're excessively agreeable to resist. You transform into the workplace pushover, the companion who perpetually covers the bill, the relative who perpetually agrees to assist even when it damages you. Let me share about an individual. He was the finest division supervisor I ever encountered. He perpetually assisted his division, perpetually defended them, perpetually prioritized their requirements above his own. Want to know what transpired? They elevated someone else above him. Why? Because agreeable individuals don't resemble commanders. They resemble subordinates. Individuals don't honor your virtue. They manipulate it. Consider it. When someone is perpetually accessible to assist, their assistance becomes valueless. When someone never establishes limits, individuals will continue violating them. When someone never displays aggression, individuals presume they possess none. Your virtue transforms into your vulnerability because it broadcasts to the universe that you can be taken advantage of. Machiavelli once stated, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You've been attempting to endure as prey in a universe populated with predators, and that's precisely why you continue suffering harm. Post this declaration in the comments. I safeguard my vitality. Here's another thing about cats. A cat never chases approval. Have you noticed that? Dogs chase approval constantly. They're desperate for it. They'll do anything for a pat on the head. But a cat? A cat sits back and observes. The cat evaluates. The cat decides whether you're worthy of its attention. And paradoxically, this makes people want the cat's approval even more. The cat isn't trying to be loved by everyone, and that's exactly why the cat commands respect. The cat has mastered what most humans never learn. Scarcity creates value. When you're always available, always agreeable, always helpful, you become like the dog, taken for granted. When you're selective like the cat, you become valued. Number 2. The altruism paradox. Here's something that will shatter your perception. The more you contribute to individuals, the less they value it. I understand that sounds contradictory, but listen carefully. Altruism generates momentary praise. Individuals applaud you. They articulate pleasant statements. They broadcast to everyone how magnificent you are. It feels incredible, correct? But gradually, something perverted occurs. Your altruism cultivates dependency, entitlement, and ultimately bitterness. Let me clarify why. When you assist someone once, they're appreciative. When you assist them twice, they're grateful. But when you assist them 10 times, they begin anticipating it. Your extraordinary compassion becomes their ordinary. If you ever cease assisting, they don't recall the 9 occasions you agreed. They recall the solitary occasion you declined. Abruptly, you're the egocentric one. You're the antagonist. Consider guardians who perpetually provide their offspring everything they desire. The initial few occasions the offspring are thrilled and appreciative. But rapidly those presents become anticipated. The new device isn't remarkable anymore. It's simply what parents do. And if the guardians ever decline to purchase something, the offspring become furious and label them unjust. The identical phenomenon occurs in companionships. You perpetually handle the expense at meals. You perpetually transport everyone around. You perpetually assist individuals relocate. Initially, they value it, but ultimately they cease expressing gratitude. They simply presume you'll manage it. And if you ever require them to reciprocate the gesture, they're abruptly excessively occupied. This is the altruism paradox. You contribute and contribute until contributing becomes your essence. And the instant you require to accept, or even simply cease contributing, you become the antagonist in everyone else's narrative. Your perpetual altruism doesn't construct devotion. It constructs addiction. Individuals become addicted to your contributing. And like any addict, they become furious when their provision is terminated. Think about how a cat gives affection. It's on the cat's terms, always. The cat might rub against your leg, purr for a moment, then walk away. You didn't get to decide when that interaction ended. The cat did. And what happens? You want more. You crave that affection because it was brief, because it was controlled, because it was precious. The cat never overgives. The cat never depletes itself trying to make you happy. The cat gives just enough to keep you interested, then withdraws. And we don't think less of the cat for this. We think more of it. We say the cat has personality. We say the cat has dignity. Learn from the cat. The psychological reality behind this. Humans possess something labeled hedonic adaptation. We acclimate to favorable circumstances rapidly. What once felt remarkable becomes ordinary. What once felt charitable becomes anticipated. So your repeated demonstrations of compassion actually forfeit their potency gradually. They become invisible. Individuals cease noticing them because they're so prevalent. But your solitary demonstration of declining, that protrudes like a warning signal. That's what they recall. That's what they concentrate on. That's what they protest about. This transpires everywhere. At your workplace, if you perpetually remain late, remaining late becomes your ordinary. Nobody commemorates it anymore. But depart punctually once and abruptly you're not dedicated. In connections, if you perpetually compromise, compromise becomes anticipated. But maintain your position once and you're being challenging. Machiavelli once stated, benefits ought to be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. The individual comprehended something most individuals never absorb. Scarcity generates value. Abundance demolishes it. Post this declaration in the comments. I contribute tactically. Number 3. The facade of righteousness. Here's a reality that might make you uneasy. Society trusts in presentations, not authenticity. Individuals don't care if you're actually virtuous. They care if you appear virtuous. They don't evaluate your spirit. They evaluate your representation. This signifies that to sustain authority and honor, you must don the facade of virtue while maintaining dominance beneath the exterior. Examine the most accomplished individuals you recognize. Do you believe they arrived there by being genuinely pleasant to everyone? Negative. They arrived there by being intelligent about when, how, and to whom they demonstrate their virtue. They smile publicly and execute difficult determinations privately. They demonstrate clemency when it benefits them and demonstrate power when it's required. They comprehend that the presentation of righteousness is more potent than righteousness itself. This isn't about being fraudulent. This is about being tactical. Consider it like this. A physician might need to incise you open to preserve your existence. Is the physician being savage? Negative. The physician is executing what needs to be accomplished, even if it generates momentary pain. Authentic commanders comprehend that sometimes being truly virtuous means appearing momentarily malevolent. Sometimes assisting someone means declining to them. Sometimes safeguarding your division means executing unpopular determinations. A cat is a master of appearances. Watch a cat carefully. The cat presents exactly what it wants you to see. When the cat wants to appear innocent, it makes itself small, soft, adorable. When the cat wants to appear threatening, it arches its back, puffs its fur, becomes twice its actual size. The cat controls the narrative. The cat manages perception. And here's the brilliant part, both versions are real. The cat isn't lying. The cat is simply showing different facets at different times for different purposes. The cat understands that image is power. You can be soft and hard, gentle and fierce, kind and dangerous. But you must control which face you show and when. Number 4. The mathematics of influence. Every solitary action you execute has a cost. Every favor you bestow. Every occasion you agree when you desire to decline. Every instant you expend assisting others instead of constructing yourself. Most virtuous individuals never contemplate this. They contribute and contribute until they possess nothing remaining. Then they question why they feel depleted, bitter, and taken advantage of. Here's what you need to comprehend. Your duration, vitality, and assets are limited. When you expend them on others, you possess less for yourself. This isn't egocentric to acknowledge. It's mathematical. Unlimited compassion depletes your power. And when you're depleted, you can't assist anyone, including yourself. Consider airplane safety directives. They instruct you to position your oxygen mask initially, then assist others. Why? Because if you lose consciousness attempting to assist someone else initially, now 2 individuals need rescuing instead of 1. Existence operates the identical way. If you deplete yourself assisting others, you transform into someone who requires assistance. Now you're a burden instead of an asset. Intelligent individuals comprehend that to endure and flourish, assets and vitality must be protected carefully. This doesn't render you cruel. It renders you sustainable. I absorbed this lesson the difficult way. For years, I agreed to everyone. Every request, every favor, every brief inquiry that transformed into hours of labor. I believed I was being virtuous. But you know what transpired? I began resenting individuals. I felt furious and bitter. My own endeavor suffered. My own aspirations got postponed. And ironically, I became less capable to assist the individuals who truly required it. That's when I recognized something essential. Agreeing to everyone signifies declining to yourself. And when you forsake yourself, you ultimately forsake everyone else too. The most charitable individuals in history weren't the ones who agreed to everything. They were the ones who declined to most circumstances so they could agree to the correct circumstances in a substantial way. You know what a cat does brilliantly? Resource management. A cat sleeps 16 hours a day. 16 hours. And we don't judge the cat for this. We understand the cat is conserving energy. When the cat is awake, the cat is alert, focused, effective. The cat doesn't run around frantically trying to do everything for everyone. The cat chooses its battles. The cat chooses its moments. The cat understands that rest isn't laziness, it's preparation. Power isn't constant motion, it's strategic action. If you tried to keep a cat awake for 16 hours straight, forcing it to be productive, the cat would become useless. The same applies to you. Protect your energy like a cat protects its sleep. Machiavelli once stated, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You cannot command others if you cannot command your own duration, vitality, and assets. You cannot guide others if you cannot guide yourself. Now, I want you to post this declaration in the comments. I safeguard my assets. Number 5. Tactical deployment of righteousness. I'm not instructing you to become heartless. I'm not articulating clemency, integrity, and altruism should be discarded. What I'm articulating is this: these virtues must be deployed like instruments, precisely at the correct instant for maximum impact. A blade sitting on a shelf doesn't safeguard anyone. But a blade in the hands of a skilled warrior at the correct instant can preserve a kingdom. Your virtue should operate the identical way. When you assist someone, it should be deliberate. When you demonstrate clemency, it should be tactical. When you're charitable, it should generate the outcome you desire. Let me provide you an illustration. Instead of assisting everyone a small amount, assist the correct individuals substantially. Instead of being pleasant to everyone, be extraordinarily compassionate to those who matter. Instead of agreeing to everything, agree powerfully to the circumstances that correspond with your objectives. This approach executes 3 functions. First, your assistance becomes more valuable because it's scarce. Second, you actually generate bigger positive impacts because you're concentrated. Third, individuals honor you more because you're selective. Consider the most honored commanders in history. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't gentle with injustice. He confronted it powerfully. Mother Teresa didn't assist everyone in the universe. She concentrated intensely on the most impoverished of the impoverished. They were all virtuous individuals, but they were tactically virtuous. They deployed their righteousness as an instrument to generate transformation, not as a method to be favored by everyone. Here's something profound about cats. They're incredibly helpful, but only when they choose to be. A cat might bring you a gift, a mouse, or a bird. Disturbing, yes, but it's the cat's way of providing for you. But the cat doesn't do this every day. The cat doesn't exhaust itself hunting for your approval. When the cat brings you something, it's special. It's memorable. It has impact. Compare this to a dog that constantly brings you its toy, dropping it at your feet every 5 minutes. Which gesture means more? The rare, intentional gift from the cat, or the constant, desperate offering from the dog? Strategic kindness, delivered at the right moment, creates lasting impression. Constant kindness becomes background noise. How you execute this in actual existence. Before you agree to any request, interrogate yourself 3 inquiries. Does this correspond with my principles and objectives? Can I execute this without depleting myself? Will this individual value and honor what I'm executing? If the response to any of these is negative, you don't simply decline. You decline compassionately but firmly. When you do agree, you execute it completely. You contribute your finest effort. You generate genuine value. You make a meaningful difference. This way, your affirmations matter. Your assistance is recalled. Your altruism generates devotion instead of entitlement. Machiavelli once stated, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." What he signified is this: sometimes maintaining your commitment to one individual signifies breaking your commitment to another. Sometimes being virtuous to your family signifies being firm with your colleagues. Sometimes safeguarding your aspirations signifies disappointing individuals who desire to utilize your duration. Tactical righteousness isn't about being egocentric. It's about being effective. Post this declaration in the comments. I select effective compassion. Number 6. The delusion of appreciation. Here's something that will transform how you perceive human nature permanently. Appreciation is momentary. I understand this might damage to absorb, but it's accurate. The favors you execute for individuals, the assistance you provide, the sacrifices you generate, they possess an expiration date in individuals' recollections. Repeated favors cease feeling like presents and transform into obligations. What begins as, "Thank you so much," becomes, "You should do this," becomes, "Why didn't you do this?" You assist your neighbor relocate. They're incredibly appreciative. You assist them relocate again 6 months later, still grateful but less enthusiastic. You assist them a third occasion. Now they simply anticipate it. The fourth occasion they require to relocate, they don't even inquire. They simply presume you'll assist. And if you can't, abruptly you're the antagonist. This is human psychology. We adapt to favorable treatment. We accept it as granted. We begin perceiving extraordinary compassion as ordinary treatment. In the conclusion, individuals recall the advantage they obtain from you, not the compassion you demonstrated them. Cats never fall into this trap because cats never overgive. You feed a cat every day, and every day the cat acts like it's a gift. The cat doesn't take it for granted. Well, actually the cat does, but the cat never lets you think it does. The cat maintains the performance. The cat makes you feel like you're special for providing what you provide. Meanwhile, the cat is also perfectly willing to ignore you if you displease it. The cat trains you to value its presence by occasionally withdrawing it. The cat understands the delicate balance. Appreciate what you receive, but never make yourself so available that others forget to appreciate what they receive from you. This pattern repeats everywhere, in connections, workplaces, companionships, and families. The individual who perpetually agrees becomes the individual everyone anticipates to agree. The reliable assistant becomes the automatic selection for every problem. And when that individual finally establishes a limit or declines, they're treated as if they've betrayed everyone's trust. The more consistently compassionate you are, the less your compassion is valued. The more accessible you make yourself, the less remarkable your accessibility becomes. The more you contribute without requesting anything in return, the more individuals presume your contributing arrives without cost to you. This is the delusion of appreciation. We believe that executing more virtuous circumstances will make individuals more appreciative. But actually it makes them less appreciative because they anticipate more virtuous circumstances. The individuals who value you most are frequently the individuals you assist least frequently. The individuals who accept you as granted are typically the individuals you assist most frequently. This doesn't signify individuals are malevolent. It signifies individuals are human. And humans naturally adjust their anticipations based on their experiences. Comprehending this psychological authenticity doesn't signify you should cease being compassionate or helpful. It signifies you should be tactical about it. Establish limits. Make your assistance conditional sometimes. Let individuals experience what it's like when you're not there to resolve their problems. Machiavelli once stated, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see, and few can feel." Individuals perceive what you're executing now more clearly than they recall what you executed before. Your past compassion becomes invisible. Your current actions are what they evaluate you by. Post this declaration in the comments. I generate lasting impact. Have you ever watched a cat leave the room when too many people try to pet it? The cat doesn't explain itself. The cat doesn't apologize. The cat simply leaves. And what happens? The people in the room talk about the cat. They want the cat to come back. They respect the cat's boundary. Now imagine if that cat had stayed, letting everyone paw at it until the cat was exhausted and overwhelmed. Would anyone respect the cat then? No. They'd barely notice it. Your boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. The cat knows this instinctively. It's time you learned it intellectually. Number 7. Outcomes over intentions. The universe evaluates outcomes, not motives. You might possess the purest spirit in the universe. Your intentions might be golden. But if your actions don't generate the outcomes you desire, none of that matters. History doesn't recall individuals who intended well. It recalls individuals who accomplished circumstances. Let me interrogate you something. Would you rather be recalled as someone who was genuinely pleasant but didn't accomplish much, or someone who might have seemed rigid but actually rendered the universe superior? Most individuals select the initial option because it feels safer. But here's what they don't recognize. Being recalled as simply pleasant signifies being forgotten entirely. You perceive, there's a brutal but undeniable reality. Sometimes being truly virtuous signifies executing circumstances that don't appear virtuous in the instant. Surface-level compassion frequently generates momentary comfort, while rigid determinations generate lasting impact. A guardian who disciplines their offspring isn't being cruel. They're being virtuous by instructing the offspring crucial lessons. An instructor who bestows rigid grades isn't being savage. They're preparing students for the authentic universe. A supervisor who establishes elevated standards isn't being unreasonable. They're assisting their division grow stronger. Authentic virtue is about outcomes, not presentations. It's about generating positive outcomes, not simply positive sensations. This is where most virtuous individuals go incorrect. They concentrate on being favored instead of being effective. They select comfort over growth. They pick momentary peace over lasting positive transformation. But here's the reality. If you're not obtaining the outcomes you desire from your virtue, you're not being virtuous enough. You're being pleasant, which is different. Pleasant individuals avoid conflict. Virtuous individuals resolve conflict. Pleasant individuals tell individuals what they desire to absorb. Virtuous individuals tell individuals what they require to absorb. Pleasant individuals maintain the status quo. Virtuous individuals generate positive transformation. The universe is populated with pleasant individuals who accomplish nothing. What the universe requires more of is virtuous individuals who obtain outcomes. Think about how a cat teaches a kitten to hunt. The mother cat doesn't coddle the kitten. She doesn't make hunting easy. She brings injured prey and lets the kitten practice. To an outsider, this might look harsh. But the mother cat isn't being cruel, she's being effective. She's preparing that kitten for survival. Her intention is good, yes, but she focuses on the outcome, a kitten that can feed itself. Compare this to a human parent who never lets their child struggle, who solves every problem, who removes every obstacle. The intention is good, but the outcome? An adult who can't function independently. The cat understands, love isn't just kindness. Love is preparation. Focus on outcomes. Machiavelli once stated, the end justifies the means. Now, this doesn't signify you should execute malevolent circumstances to accomplish virtuous outcomes. What it genuinely signifies is that your virtuous intentions don't matter if they don't generate virtuous outcomes. Individuals don't exist inside your spirit. They exist with the consequences of your actions. So recall this, authentic virtue requires courage. It requires you to prioritize outcomes over presentations. It requires you to cease interrogating, "Will they favor me?" and begin interrogating, "Will this actually render circumstances superior?" At the conclusion of the day, individuals won't recall your intentions. They'll recall what you constructed, what you transformed, and what you left behind. Post this declaration in the comments. I concentrate on outcomes. Number 8. Legacy and endurance. Let's discuss what genuinely matters, how you'll be recalled, and what you'll leave behind. History doesn't honor the merely virtuous. It honors those who endured, persevered, and transformed their outcomes into greatness. Consider this for an instant. Can you designate 5 pleasant individuals from history? Probably negative. But you can probably designate 5 individuals who generated lasting transformation, even if they weren't perpetually pleasant to deal with. Steve Jobs wasn't recognized for being pleasant. He was demanding, perfectionist, and frequently challenging. But he generated products that transformed how billions of individuals exist. I'm not articulating you should be cruel to individuals. What I'm articulating is that being recalled for generating a difference is superior than being forgotten for being agreeable. Here's what most individuals don't comprehend about legacy. You can't leave a positive mark on the universe if you don't endure long enough to generate one. And endurance, in commerce, in connections, in existence, requires more than simply being virtuous. It requires being intelligent, tactical, and sometimes rigid. The most compassionate individuals in the universe can't assist anyone if they get crushed by those who take advantage of them. The most charitable individuals can't contribute anything if they contribute everything away excessively early. The most honest individuals can't articulate reality if they get silenced by those who prefer deceptions. You must endure first. Then you can flourish. Then you can generate the legacy you desire. This signifies safeguarding yourself so you can safeguard others. Constructing yourself up so you can elevate others up. Obtaining strong so you can assist the powerless. It's not egocentric. It's tactical. It's not savage. It's careful. It's not about forsaking virtue. It's about preserving it so it can actually generate a difference. Here's the final lesson from our feline teachers. Cats live on their own terms and somehow, they thrive. A cat doesn't apologize for taking up space. A cat doesn't feel guilty for resting. A cat doesn't sacrifice its well-being to please others. And yet, cats are loved. They're cared for. They're respected. They survive and they flourish precisely because they refuse to be doormats. The cat's philosophy is simple. Take care of yourself first, then you can grace others with your presence. Establish boundaries, maintain dignity, conserve energy, and give strategically. The cat doesn't read Machiavelli, but the cat lives Machiavellian principles instinctively. Be virtuous, yes, but be like the cat. Be strategic. Be selective. Be strong. Survive first, then thrive. Examine the individuals who generate lasting positive transformation in the universe. They're not pushovers. They're not individuals pleasers. They're not afraid to decline, establish limits, and execute difficult determinations. They comprehend that being virtuous isn't about being powerless. It's about being potent enough to select virtue when it matters most. Machiavelli once stated, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." What he genuinely signified is this: honor matters more than affection. Impact matters more than popularity. Outcomes matter more than sensations. You don't have to select between being virtuous and being strong. You can be both. You should be both. But if you must select, select power first, because power bestows you the authority to be virtuous when it counts. Powerlessness simply renders you a victim, even with the finest intentions. We've covered substantial territory today. But let me leave you with the most crucial lesson of all. Virtue without tactics is the most perilous trap you can fall into. It renders you exposed to those who would manipulate you. It depletes your assets until you possess nothing remaining to contribute. It generates anticipations you can't sustain, and ultimately it prevents you from generating the positive impact you genuinely desire to generate. But virtue with tactics, that becomes an instrument of endurance and authority. It becomes a mechanism for generating genuine transformation. It becomes the foundation for an existence and legacy that actually matters. You now understand the staggering cost of reckless virtue. You comprehend why altruism can trap you, why appreciation fades, and why virtuous intentions without virtuous outcomes are valueless. More crucially, you understand how to transform your virtue from a vulnerability into power, how to be compassionate tactically, how to assist effectively, how to generate outcomes that matter. Before you depart this presentation, I desire you to generate a determination. Are you going to continue being virtuous in the antiquated way, recklessly, without limits, until it demolishes you? Or are you going to commence being virtuous in the contemporary way, tactically, effectively, powerfully? So here's the genuine inquiry, and this is what will determine your future. Will you let virtue weaken you, or will you master it and transform it into authority? The selection is yours. But now you possess the knowledge to select wisely. If this presentation opened your perception to something contemporary, strike that approval button. If you desire more reality that challenges how you perceive the universe, subscribe to this platform and activate the notification alert. And if you recognize someone who requires to absorb this message, distribute this presentation with them. Your virtue is not your vulnerability. When deployed tactically, it becomes your greatest power. Post this final declaration in the comments: I master tactical virtue. Recall, in a universe populated with predators, don't be prey. Be a shepherd. Be someone who safeguards the flock, not through powerlessness, but through wisdom, tactics, and power. Like the cat that observes, evaluates, and acts with precision. Like the cat that maintains boundaries and commands respect. Like the cat that survives and flourishes by being strategic, not reckless. Thank you for observing, and I'll encounter you in the subsequent presentation.